Hi, everybody. First off, I want to talk to you about I'm actually doing a giveaway this week where if you send me a email to iamdefined@cox.net, and that's IAMDEFINED, I am defined at Cox, COX.net. Put in the subject line gift card giveaway. You'll be in a drawing next week after all those come in. I'm just going to do a random drawing where you get a $100 gift card, and I'm going to do that $100 gift card to wherever you want. So you tell me where you want that $100 to go, and I'll get a gift card to you. And I'm doing that to sort of build up the email for I Am Defined and be able to help a lot more people. Today what we're going to talk about is we're going to start with a little ism, and that ism is don't give up what you want most for what you want in the moment. A lot of us have sort of an end idea of what we want and what we want to accomplish in our lives, but yet in the moment something will happen and you give that all up for something right in the moment. We've become a society of very quick response. We want automatic relief from everything. We don't have, we've lost our tendency to work through our issues. If something hurts, we take a pill. If we're having problems with someone, we're done, it's over, move on, and sometimes you've even moved on before that relationship's over with. So it's that type of mentality that we do where we give up what we want most for what we want in the moment. Very typical in weight loss. If you're on your diet and you're doing great, and I like to call it more of a life change than a diet, but as you're moving forward, and then someone says, "Hey, let's go out for lunch," and oh, there's a great new burger place. Right away, between let's see, red meat and cheese and bacon and anything else you're going to put on there, you're going to have trouble. And so the whole thought of that is like, don't give up the end result of being in a healthier lifestyle for what's going on in the moment. You can still go to that burger place, and I bet you anything they probably have a turkey burger somewhere in there and something a lot more healthy to eat. You just got to make a better choice. So that's the whole idea of that ism. It goes on with a lot of different areas, though, and we're going to talk about bad habits today. Do you have a relationship with a bad habit? And whether that can be food or drugs, alcohol, sleeping. I've recognized that a lot when I've done counseling as people get into a depression and they sleep all the time. There's also laziness. There's also sometimes a relationship with regret where people get stuck. And I've seen this especially with women coming out of divorce. If that was a long marriage, they feel they have this huge amount of regret, like they gave up their young time, 20s and 30s, to a marriage that then ends up in divorce in their 40s or 50s. And there's a big amount of regret. The other thing that can be a bad habit is sometimes a relationship. And I'm going to have a blink on that one. It's like there's a lot of people in really, really awful, horrible relationships. But those, on both sides, it's not just saying that the guy's a bad guy or the woman's a terrible woman. It's that it takes two to tango, but the relationship has become very toxic, and it's probably time to let that go. So the question is, why can't we? Why don't we let go of all of this stuff that we keep as bad habits that keep us from moving on? And I think part of it is because it's comfortable. It's kind of like an old pair of shoes. You should get a new pair. In fact, I'm actually going through that right now. I have a pair of tennis shoes that took a really long time to break in. They weren't that comfortable, to be honest, when I first bought them. I bought them because they had room for insoles, and I need those. I was getting into running and doing a lot more heavy-duty exercise type things. And when you're still as heavy as I am, it's rough on your feet and your legs, and so it fit my insoles, so I love this pair of tennis shoes. Well, I kind of started wearing them out, and it's time for a new pair, and I dread the idea of getting a new pair of tennis shoes, like breaking those in. And it's the same thing whether you're in a relationship or you're giving up a substance. It's scary. It's like, what am I going to do? What will happen to me? it becomes that whole sort of sick, toxic stuff that we do is actually comfortable, and so we continue to do it. You say to yourself, I know I shouldn't do this, I'll never do this again, and probably about 10 minutes later, you're going to do it again anyway. So, how do we stop that? And I believe it's preparation. It's knowing in your heart that this is something you can do and preparing for it. You kind of play it out in your head. If he says this, I say this, you kind of get into this dance in a relationship. Kind of work that out in your head and other things you can say. And it will surprise you. And sometimes the biggest thing is just to breathe. There is a moment, and actually in Buddhism they talk about this. Buddhism isn't my number one religion, but I've studied a lot of Buddhism, and they have a thing in that it's called pausing. And in Christianity, pausing is very similar to prayer. It's a moment where you stop because you get that feeling, and you know what I'm talking about. Like where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this, and I don't want to, but I'm going to do it anyway. There's that moment of sort of panic that comes over you when you know you're kind of heading down the wrong path. Breathe. Take a moment in through your nose, out through your mouth, and breathe through it. Count to 10. The reason breathing is so important, my daughter would tell you that, I'm kind of flipping off topic here, but my daughter is a second-degree black belt, and breathing is really important in martial arts. And the reason for that is when something happens to you and you panic, you get the, you're not breathing. Well, no air is getting to your brain, so you can't think. You can't make a good decision. Well, it's the same thing when you're in the panic mode of doing something that you shouldn't do, or really going down a path of life that you shouldn't be going. Breathe. Take 10 seconds to think about what you're doing and breathe through it. Pause, prayer, meditate, whatever along those lines helps you. I'm way over 5 minutes already, so I'm going to stop this today. I'm going to continue with it a little bit more tomorrow because it's an important topic of being able to not give up what you want most for what you wanted in the moment. So have a good day, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.